This video is brought to you by Audible.com. It's the first of the apparent 5 prequel movies to the very successful and cherished Harry Potter franchise. This week I'm talking about David Yates' Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them starring Eddie Redmayne. So Fantastic Beasts takes place 70 years, I believe, before the original Harry Potter films, where Newt Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne, comes to New York with a case full of magical creatures that escape. Now we have an adventure with Newt to try to catch them all, and at the same time, bigger and darker forces are afoot. Now, I'm not one of probably the million Harry Potter fans out there. I never read the books, and I haven't even seen all the movies, so if you're a fan of this franchise, try not to judge me too harshly. I don't think this is a terrible film. I do think you can have a lot of fun with this movie, but for me, I wasn't disappointed, I was just slightly underwhelmed. First, I'd like to talk about what I enjoyed. Eddie Redmayne does a pretty good job of carrying the film. I like what he brought to the character of Newt Scamander, and there's enough implied history with his character that it gets you interested in what's going to happen in future films. With the little screen time he got, Colin Farrell has a standout performance. I don't think it's a surprise that he kind of plays this villainous role. Is he a character to be trusted, or is he plotting something else, perhaps evil in the background? Regardless, when he was on screen, he was great. Kowalski, played by Dan Fogler, was a fun character as well. Really, his main purpose in this movie was to act as the audience's eyes into this mystical world of creatures and wizards, and he carried most of, if not all, the emotional weight at the end of the film. Out of all the characters, he was the one that I was attached to most, and he pretty much stole this entire movie for me. But unfortunately, what held this movie back for me was the pacing and unclear focus. I went in expecting an adventure with Newt catching his escaped beast and learning about the creatures and the mystical world they come from. But there was a couple of subplots that got woven into the main narrative, and the pacing got clunky as a result. There were points when the movie would stop and see what was going on with Colin Farrell and Ezra Miller's characters, and then jump back over to another storyline with some senator that ultimately has no impact on the film. I feel like I would have had a better experience if they would have focused more on Newt finding all these creatures and giving more credence to the movie's title. There were times where I was liking where the story was going, but because of the structure and the pacing, I wasn't able to get fully invested in those plot points. The critics seem to be less forgiving of this film's flaws than audiences. Critically, it scored 76% on Rotten Tomatoes and 66% on Metacritic, but audiences gave it higher scores with 85% and 7.3. I am a bit shocked to see a split in the YouTube space, with people like Christian Harloff and Chris Stockman really praising this film. There are others like Mark Ellis and Jeremy Jahns that aren't falling head over heels for it. One thing that Mark Ellis from The Schmoes and Ruth Connor from Screen Junkies mentioned that I do agree with is that this movie felt like 2 films crammed into one, with this adventure with Newt going on and this other looming force we are most likely going to see in future films. Across the board, everyone seems to think you don't have to see the other Harry Potter films before seeing Fantastic Beasts. I would have to disagree with that. The movie assumes you've seen the other films and doesn't go to great lengths to explain everything. Though that might be an overall plus, it keeps someone like me who's not familiar with the lore from fully appreciating what the film has to offer. What this film had was a great opportunity to get moviegoers like me who aren't fans of the property invested in this world. In my opinion, they focus too much on setting up the narrative for future films rather than trying to gain new fans. I'm probably going to go back and watch the Harry Potter films, but this movie didn't really add any urgency for me to go see them. No surprises, Fantastic Beasts came in first at the box office this weekend, but I am surprised to see it only made $75 million. Don't get me wrong, $75 million isn't a bad opening number, but I was expecting it to make more because of the huge Harry Potter following. The movie also boasted 100% on Rotten Tomatoes leading up to its opening weekend, and I would have thought that it would have gotten more people out to see it because of that opening score. I think it might have to do with the marketing. The trailer didn't get a lot of people excited to see this film. It might also have to do with other people going to see Doctor Strange and Trolls instead, both taking in nearly $20 million combined this weekend. Whatever the case may be, I think what I take most from this film is that we allow our fandom sometimes to not necessarily blind us, but make us more forgiving of a film's shortcomings. I think if you're a Harry Potter fan, you're going to have a great time with this film. And I hate bringing up this comparison, but it's the best I can come up with to back up my point. As you might have guessed, I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, and when The Force Awakens came out, I absolutely loved it, and I still do. However, there are some that don't share my love for that film. Where I do recognize that the movie has its flaws, I don't see them making it a bad movie, as I believe many of you might feel the same with Fantastic Beasts. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and though I didn't love Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, you might feel differently. So if you got a chance to see it, I want to know what you thought of it. Go ahead and start a conversation in the comments below. Like I mentioned, the beginning of this video is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/videos by Andrew. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. So again, head on over to audibletrial.com/videos by Andrew to get your free audiobook and help support this channel. Don't forget to like and share this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Also, consider following me on social media. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this, you can click right here and see more videos by Andrew.